So let's talk about the brain a little bit. We know that one of our primary goals and jobs as teachers is for kids to store information for the long term. Either to use it again, we want them to transfer the information, or to be able to recreate it on a test. That's reality in all of our lives. And we know that survival is one way memories get stored quickly. You have it in your DNA, right, that you're not going to step in front of a bus on purpose, correct? That's our survival mechanism. We know that, we remember that without even having to experience it. Emotion, also the brain instantly, if it's powerful enough, there's a part of your brain called the amygdala, and it checks incoming data all the time for emotional content. If it detects it strongly enough, it will boost chemicals in the brain that are responsible for storing things long term, and you got it. Do you remember the first breakup? Right? Or do you remember a wedding day? Whatever it is, it's there forever. It's the power of emotion. But do things in your classroom evoke that kind of response every day, survival or emotion? No, most of the time not. So what are the two criteria for storing information long term when we get past survival and emotion? Who can help me out with that?
Does it make sense?
Does it make sense is one of the criteria. And we spend 90% of our lesson planning time answering the question, does this make sense? What's the other criteria?
Does it have meaning?
Does it have meaning and relevance? Why do I need to know this? Have you ever had that question? Right? Which of the two do you think is more powerful? What do you think? Yes?
Meaning.
It is meaning. You are absolutely right. But again, we spend most of our time thinking about, does this make sense? And it's really about, how relevant is this to my kids? Because if a kid finds something that makes sense, they find things like that every day. Well, this makes sense to me. Is it important? What do you think the brain says about keeping that stored? No. No. If you could spend every day of your teaching year thinking about, how is this relevant to my kids? How can I get them to see the meaning and relevance in this? You're going to have the best year of your career. You will have kids on fire in your classroom. It goes back to pain, pleasure, doesn't it? Yeah. I'm bringing this up because I want you to understand that something that goes along with meaning, it's a powerful, powerful motivator, and it's interest. Why is interest so key? Why differentiate by interest? Why know and understand what kids are doing when they're not with you? So we can pull it into our lesson planning when appropriate and applicable. That doesn't mean all the time. But underneath interest is meaning and relevance. When kids get content into their working memories, there's a part of your brain called the hippocampus that searches long-term memory stores for relevance. If it finds it based on past experience, what do you think it does? It makes a connection. If it finds no relevance, what happens? It lets it go. It drops out of the information processing system. So interest is key. Interest is a directive force. And I hope you remember that when you're lesson planning activities in the classroom, everything you do, homework, whatever it might be, asking yourself how and why this is relevant to my kids. And that is a powerful motivator.